6 pounds, 8 ounces. Parker Kendall Sementra Smith.
Wait, did you take it all off?
Nah, brother, it's braided up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you said-
You know, it's that quarantine style.
I feel you.
How you been?
That's what's up, man. I've been good, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. So,
Yes, sir.
you and I had a conversation a few years back, and you challenged me to identify my purpose statement. And
Okay.
the Burden and Purpose platform is an ode to you, to be honest with you, after a few years of some soul searching and a lot of fasting and prayer, I came up with that purpose statement, which was to highlight the good news through video and provide career path exposure to young adults. And, that was about 2016. Fast forward 2018, I definitely felt the necessity to create a platform that highlighted faith, fitness, finance, relationships, and hustlers. And Burden and Purpose was birthed in 2019. And so we're here and, creating some organic, authentic content, great conversations that are with people like yourself that I think have nuggets that are relevant and have an opportunity to provide value to people like you and I. So I'm privileged to have you join me for today's great conversation, to be honest with you, brother.
That's a blessing, man.
Yeah.
That's very exciting to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, those early morning Saturdays, they weren't for nothing.
Yeah. They weren't for nothing. They definitely produce some good fruit out of those conversations. So, we're going to dive right into it, brother. I know you got a lot of things going on right now, and so I appreciate you being flexible with your schedule and being able to chime in today. You've got a new book out. Talk to me. Talk to me about that new book, Sexual Healing.
Yes, sexual healing, a man's sexual journey and the lessons learned along the way. I don't like to tell people up front when they meet me that I'm a pastor because they give the stigma and they started acting funny when they find out that I am.
Yeah.
But in this book, I do let them know that I am a pastor from the jump in this book, because in this context, I feel like, first of all, sex is not publicly addressed in the church as commonly as it should be. It's considered a taboo topic. I don't know what reasons. I don't know if there's skeletons in closets. I don't know if it just feels uncomfortable. I don't know if people feel like they have to have this stuff together before they can talk about it. But there's a lot of couples and a lot of marriages, a lot of families that are struggling in that regard, and they don't know who to talk to. So I wrote the book. And when I promote it, I tell people I wrote the book because my wife and I have great sex. Thank you, Lord. But there was a time when the sex wasn't great. It was a time that was frustrating. I remember my wife, when your wife is mad at you, she don't hold back how she really feel.
Right.
And she told me once, if I'd have known it was going to be if I'd have known sex was going to be like this, I would have said, God, what's the point in waiting? Like, what's the big deal? And so, that challenged me in the place in our relationship where I thought we were going to almost end our marriage.
Yeah.
It really challenged me, not just sexually, but look at a whole bunch of things. But as it applies to that, to relearn and discover everything I learned from either porn or peers, but I didn't learn it from God, and God created sex. So I recount in the book the different journeys of exposure that I went through and how that shaped me, but how I needed to correct that. And so I'm excited about it because that's one dynamic or platform that I'm really passionate about.
That's dope. So this is not your first book. You've written some other books in the past. So I've heard stories of how you were initially, kind of almost, hustling the children's books in barbershops, when you kind of were out there. But for you to write this book specifically for adults that have struggled with sex in their marriages and relationships, I think that's pretty phenomenal. So I definitely want to applaud you for that. You've got an event that's coming up.
Yeah. And to that point, you talk about purpose statements. My purpose statement that I attempt to operate on, I exist. Well, I actually, until my kids say differently, I've made this our family purpose statement. We exist to promote faith and family via family content. I think sex is a part of the family content. you got to have sex to have the kids, and you got to know what you're going to be talking about sex to educate the kids. So with that said, there are other books dealing with other matters outside of sex,
Yeah.
kids books. I have something else that's coming up. But for this, I have it's a webinar. I'm calling a virtual locker room experience. And these are just fellas gathering together. And I'm just unpacking some nuggets from the book. It's called Good Sex is God Sex. And part of it is a campaign, man. I really want to redefine sex in the way that it was intended. Like, we have this perception of God that we don't really see that God could give us something so intensely amazing, like orgasms. God created orgasms, D.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the midst of that orgasm, when you say thank you, Jesus, you literally thanking him because he gave you that joint, right?
Right.
But yeah, so it's going to be a 4-part series. I'm promoting it on Eventbrite to register. Once they register, I send the fellas a Zoom link, and we're just going to start the series on May 23rd and chop it up and get into it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. So for those that are watching, we're joined today by none other than Eric Kellum, pastor of Zion Church iCampus, but author, father, husband, mentor. The event that he has coming up, that locker room huddle, that virtual locker room huddle, Good Sex is God Sex. The first one being May 23rd for those of you that are looking for him. Hey, E, how can they find you if they're looking for you?
Social media is always easy. At Eric Kellum on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, EricKellum. But we got some other stuff that we got popping off.
What else you got going on?
We tried to take advantage of this pandemic as a family.
Yeah.
And just really challenge the kids. Actually, let me backtrack. Because I got a tribe. I got 5 kids.
Yeah, you definitely got a tribe. Tribe is a good word for that.
So my oldest daughter told me 2 years ago, when I was really like bojangling. A lot of people that's watching this video and that are watching what you do, you're inspiring them and you're motivating them. But even still, they know what they're supposed to do, but they just procrastinating because they make excuses like, I'm too busy at work or this, that, and the other. Man, she woke me up, man. She said, Dad, I need you to do what you're supposed to do so I can run the business.
Wow.
Like, she's literally looking at coming to the end of her high school career and looking at her options. And she already has Kellum Enterprises in mind, but I'm not doing my part in order to get the baton handed off, right?
Wow.
So that really motivated me and it motivated us. So right now we're just pushing out family content. We have a family, I don't know what you call. I'm so old. I don't know what these terminologies is. We just have a conversation and we put it on YouTube. It's called 7 questions from 7 different perspectives, 7 different walks of life in the family for one conversation. And it's purpose because families aren't talking to each other.
Right.
And so we don't try to model like we're the ideal family, because God knows from our last 7 conversations, them families. Can you say piss me off on the air? Am I going to get in trouble for that?
You got privilege for that, bro. You good.
So they made me mad. I was like, I don't want to talk to y'all to the next episode, but that's good because that's part of the dynamic of family and understanding and working together. So we've got that. The girls have this sibling YouTube channel called Talos, Tim, and Zoe.
Yeah.
It's just positive girls like doing fun stuff, and it's still silly stuff, and it's goofy, but a parent don't got to worry if it's like not modest or not.
Right,
you know what
right.
I got this joint every week I hit called My 5 Cents, where I just share something that's hitting me hard. Right now I'm working on something with the Ahmaud Arbery situation.
Yeah.
So there's just some things. And then I'm bringing back the children's books, Diggle, Boogie, and Lolo.
Yeah.
They're ebooks that are great for the kids. They promote character development. And then lastly, I told you I'm doing a lot.
Let's go. Get it to me.
I'm finishing up. My 2 younger girls said, well, you wrote a book for the older kids, because Diggle, Boogie, and Lolo was inspired off my first 3 kids.
Yeah.
So they said, where's our book? So I just finished the first draft of The School Days of Sim and Zoe.
Okay.
And so right now it's about to go transition into the illustrator phase and the process and all of that, man. But it's really fun, man.
That's
Like,
dope,
I'm at a
bro.
point right now, D, and when you talk about burden and purpose, our natural desires. We want to be like, make a legacy
Yeah.
and, have a brand name that people refer to. But if I get to see that, or if I don't, if that passes on to the next generation, I feel like I'm in my sandbox, and I'm playing with my toys, and I'm just enjoying the moment, and I'm getting stuff out that I've been faking on for a long time.
Yeah.
And whatever God chooses to do with that is gravy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. As we wrap up this conversation, my commitment to you, E, is I want to have you back when we have a lot more time to plan out the discussion and conversation, because I want to hear more about the children's books. I feel like the kids need to hear it. I feel like the parents need to hear it. I feel like that's inspiration for a young author, a young illustrator, a young creator, a young producer. So I think that that's a relevant conversation. I also feel like it's an opportunity for you to connect with people in a way that you might not necessarily have had to do. So Burden and Purpose is just as much my platform as it is to you. So I definitely want to have you back for those discussions. And I want to talk about how these discussions, these virtual locker rooms go as well. So I look forward to having that conversation. But for the person that's watching this video right now, what soundbite tool of advice would you give to a young man, young woman, a mature adult that is still trying to find a way to marry their passion with their purpose?
Wow. That's a great question. I can unpack that for a while, because I think, but I won't. I think that the challenge a lot of people have is they don't know themselves well enough, and I think you've got to really have a good gauge of who you are, and in that you find out and discover certain things. Like, some people don't know what their gifts are, because, like, if I see somebody that can sing out their mind, or if I can see somebody that can play ball like nobody's business, then those are gifts. But if I have a gift of like ironing or making chicken, I'm not going to see that as a gift. But I'm saying knowing yourself and knowing what gifts you have and learning how to work with that is part of the process. Knowing yourself and knowing what you've been through. Every single thing that you've been through in life is setting you up for where you're supposed to go.
Love it.
Even when you say burden and purpose, one thing that came to mind is, we know Pastor Battle, he talks about from misery to ministry.
Yep.
From pain to passion.
Yep.
So it's like the stuff that I had to work out in my life. I was abandoned when I was 5 by my mom, never knew my dad. Family has always been a passion of mine. And now I have the opportunity to work with my family to promote family, because it was birthed out of that.
Yeah.
But people don't recognize or realize you had to go through that to get to where you're supposed to go.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, those are just a couple of things, man. Know yourself, and don't be afraid to just start stuff. Like, I think our challenge is, D, we expect the end result, but we got to treat it like your baby. It has to start as an infant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if it doesn't get the results that you want the first time you start, well, it's got to go in infancy form and grow and develop from there. So people just got to start getting to doing stuff and stop procrastinating for so long, or reasoning why they can't do this, or they don't have the money for this, or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's good. That's good. That's good. Listen, E, you and I could probably talk for hours. I know that you've got a jam-packed schedule. And so, again, I do appreciate you being flexible and being able to participate in today's great conversation. Again, for those of you that are just joining us, we've been joined today by none other than Eric Kellum, Kellum Enterprises, pastor of Zion Church iCampus, mentor, father, husband. My friend, I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks